And a TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast presented by First Bet and Express Bet. He is the one and only Scott Shapiro. I'm merely, as Dan Patrick once said, I'm merely Jeremy Plonk. We're going to have some fun this weekend on the show as we talk about the Claiming Crown, the Blue Collar Breeders' Cup, if you will. I probably broke copyright laws by calling it that, but it's a day for the everyday horse to shine. And, you know, over the course of the Claiming Crown, which dates back to 1999, I believe the 27th edition of the Claiming Crown this year, it's been at tracks all around the country, right? Canterbury had it for a long time. Parks had it. They're under the Twin Spires this year, and that's kind of a big deal for some of the blue-collar horses, but a very Kentucky-influenced Claiming Crown certainly going to be the case this year. Shop, looking forward to some handicapping of some big fields.
Yeah, it is. It's good racing. It's tough. I think there's 30 different racetracks represented or shipping in from huge fields throughout, particularly the late sequence is very hard. You got the Chaluki to kick off the card. But, yeah, I was at one Claiming Crown at Churchill. They moved it away after. And it poured so much that it just made it so, you know. And then the next year was at Fairgrounds, and it poured even more that year. So hopefully the weather will be good because there is some good betting. And then you got, like I said, the Chaluki is a nice little starter, you know, best race on the card. But, yeah, should be fun.
Well, you mentioned bad weather history. It looks pretty good. I got the forecast for all the tracks. 71 degrees in Louisville on Saturday. Breezy conditions, but should be dry. So we should have a good day of racing in Kentucky. Can't say the same thing at Del Mar. Whoever wrote the song, It Never Rains in California, they were wrong. This weekend it's going to rain quite a bit in Southern California. So Del Mar's already scrapped their Saturday racing program. They moved the post time up on Friday today as we record the podcast to get the card in today before the rains hit. So no racing on Saturday at Del Mar. We'll see what happens with that Sunday program. Other weather as far as tracks that we're looking at this weekend, of course, Aqueduct, we've got some stakes action there. Upper 40s, rain expected to come on Saturday in the evening. So the racing card should be over before the rain hits in New York, but a cool day for sure in the upper 40s. We told you 71 and breezy in Louisville, Kentucky, and 50 with some afternoon showers at Woodbine, but they're running on the all-weather. So that gives you a little hint of the tracks we're going to be talking about on the podcast. So for those of you watching on X or on YouTube, be sure to like, share this out, comment, help us grow the audience for the First Call podcast. For those of you on our traditional audio channels, here are the 8 races Scott and I will handicap over the next half hour or so. He mentioned the Chaluki Stakes. We'll talk about that one from Churchill Downs. Then we'll look at 3 of the Claiming Crown races, the Glass Slipper, the Jewel, and the Tiara. If you're looking in your past performances, those are races 7, 10, and 11. Chaluki goes as race number 3 on the card. The Juvenile Filly Sprint at Gulfstream Park for the 2-year-old gals on the dirt. We'll look at that one. That's race number 9 at Gulfstream on Saturday. To Aqueduct for a pair of turf stakes. The Jockey Club Oaks for the 3-year-old fillies. That'll be race 7. The Knickerbocker for the older horses, race number 9. And to Woodbine we go for the Kennedy Road Stakes, race number 10. Former Breeders' Cup champion in that race. So we got a lot to talk about. Kennedy Road will be, again, the 10th race on Saturday at Woodbine. As far as promotions, when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet this weekend, you'll get a 20% win boost up to $20 on your win bet Saturday at Churchill Downs for the Claiming Crown card. So 20% win boost up to $20 in additional money back into your account when you hit win bets on the Claiming Crown card. Full card, not just the Claiming Crown races, full card Saturday from Churchill, part of that promo. So be sure to opt into the promotions when you play into your account, and when you sign in, make sure you opt in to all those promos. All right, Scott, let's go to Churchill Downs, race number 3 on Saturday. It's the Chaluki Stakes, and in the world of pettiness in the Churchill Downs Bob Baffert feud, one of the biggest upsets is this race was not renamed during the 3 years that Bob Baffert was banned from Churchill Downs. Of course, Baffert's Chaluki went 4 for 4 in her career at Churchill. She won the first 3 races of her career as a 2-year-old, came back and won the Churchill Downs Distaff as a 4-year-old, and that's the race that used to be named the Churchill Downs Distaff, was renamed for her back in 2005. Chaluki Stakes here is for older fillies and mares sprinting on the main track at a mile. I guess we call it a sprint route, however you want to look at it, in a one-turn race. How do you shake out this field of 7?
I'm laughing. I'm thinking that Chaluki was like one of the first Bafferts I remember, kind of when I was coming up in the game. I'm sure you're kind of similar with that. She was really good early on. But just laughing, maybe they didn't realize. I'm wondering if anybody on the current staff remembered that Chaluki was a Baffert horse, kind of knocking the knowledge of the racing knowledge there. But debate for another day. I think this is a fun race. It's tough to get overly creative in here. I think the morning line favorites are the ones that make the most sense. Impel's the fourth choice, and I think she's up against it. Shred the Gnar is very intriguing, but I think a little tough to take 5-2 or whatever price we're going to get. I think it's One Magic Filly's race to lose. You've got Ragtime, who's probably going to be the favorite, but she's going to come from way out of it. And I think One Magic Filly will thrive at the one-turn mile and is in the best form of her career and should get that perfect stalking trip like she did last time when she was able to reel in Hilarito, who came back to win impressively without a good trip in her next start. So I think One Magic Filly is a filly that I want to be on now. Hopefully we'll get the 3-1 morning line.
Hilarito, One Magic Filly, a length and a half still separates the top two, gap of 5. Back to Marmalade Sky in third, Pistol in fourth, Zadorsky is a wide fifth, and now here comes One Magic Filly coming after Hilarito. Hilarito inside, One Magic Filly right alongside. These two past the 16th pole. One Magic Filly gets the lead. It is One Magic Filly to win it for Flavian Pratt. Hilarito was home second, and then it was Marmalade Sky.
She should be up near the pace in a race that's not loaded with speed, but Shred the Gnar is awfully fast. So those two are probably the table setters in here. And then from off the pace, she's certainly got to worry about Ragtime coming off the pace in here. Winner of the Dogwood Stakes over the track 2 starts back. A little disappointing last time, but not without trouble in that race when beaten as the favorite in the Raven Run Stakes at Keeneland. So this is a good field. For this late in the year, a grade 3 worth $300,000. They kept a pretty good field of filly mare sprinters together for this one.
No, absolutely. And that's why I think it's tough to make the cases for the bottom of the field. I always look to do so. But I think they got a stronger, a top-heavy field for this time of year for a grade 3. I think you've got 3 horses coming in, and you could argue, we'll see with Shred the Gnar. She's done nothing wrong, but 2 really good fillies coming into this race in good form.
Outstanding race, the Chaluki. That's one of the features on the Saturday card. Obviously, an open company graded stakes race, but it's about the claiming crown on Saturday at Churchill Downs with multiple divisions represented up and down the line amongst the top claimers in the country. Now, these races are run under starter allowance conditions, and I just want to talk about handicapping starter allowance races for a second, Scott, because not just the claiming crown, because this might seem like a unique day with all the horses coming from all different parts of the country, but starter allowance races are fairly common around the country on an everyday race card. And for me, they're some of my favorite handicapping because what I like to do in starter allowance races is find the horse who looks least like the condition. Most of the time, the condition for a starter allowance race is going to be horses who have started for a claiming price of whatever that level is, dollar-wise, in the past year or 2 years. So if this race, like we're talking about in the 7th race, will start off with the Glass Slipper at Churchill Downs on Saturday, it's for fillies and mares 3 and up, which have started for a claiming price of $12,500 or less in 2024, 2025. So I'm trying to find a horse who looks least like a 12-5 claimer because you had to run in a 12-5 claimer once to get eligible. Try to find a horse who only ran at this level once. Then they get eligible for these starter allowance conditions, and often they can run out big win streaks, and you'll see that often. And when they drop to that maximum level, 12-5, for the one time, what did they do with it? A lot of times you're going to find a horse who dropped one time for the level, dominated the race, won easily, and has never been anywhere near a 12-5 claimer ever since. That's kind of what you're looking for in a starter allowance race, whether it's on a Wednesday afternoon at Thistledown or it's the Claiming Crown series. So try to find horses that look least like the conditions of the race, and oftentimes you'll find horses who have class edges, and that's why you often see in these starter allowance ranks, I don't care what track you're talking about, big win streaks for horses. When they find a spot where they can be dominant in these starter allowance races, they just run them out. And the connections just wait for the condition book. They can't get claimed out of the starter allowance races. So they just run up some nice win streaks in these races.
No, that's exactly it. They're kind of an owner and a trainer connection's best friend. I mean, if you sneak through, quote unquote, sneak through the first time, like you mentioned, through a tag, then you run well, then you can protect your horse, for up to a year or two in these types of races. They're kind of like an ATM machine. I think of them as, and Foster Frippery is one that I always remember in Kentucky that was there. Went down to Gulfstream and won one of those big claiming races down there. I think they have another card for them. But they can be total ATM machines. And they're, as an owner, if you're trying, and trainers, if you're claim as a claimer, if you're, that's the goal, other than obviously moving them up, and the stakes company is finding, cheaper horses that you can move up and then protect, and you keep getting to face fields. These are not totally indicative, JP, because these are real, the best of the best. A lot of times you look at these fields and there's a standout or two in these because of what you said.
Right. Now, like just for instance, if we look at the past performances for this race, 12-5 starter allowance in race number 7, you get a horse like number 2, On My Way to Save the Day. This horse has consistently been below the 12-5 level through most of her career. She's almost certain to be overmatched in terms of class against some of the other horses in there. That's a wild example that you're not going to see often on this card, because a lot of these horses are going to look not like the conditions. These are the best of the best in the starter allowance ranks, as you mentioned. So, but that's an example. If you look at On My Way to Save the Day in this race, that's the kind of horse who's probably going to be overmatched in a lot of these kind of starter allowance races, no matter what track you're talking about. Who do we like in race number 7 as we get to handicapping these starters?
Yeah, I think the pace is going to be pretty honest in this race, as it will be, I think, in several other races on the card, because that usually is the case with full fields when we're not in New York on the turf, especially. And I like Next Girl in here, the Maryland bred. Oftentimes when a Maryland bred comes to Kentucky, they're moving up in class from state bred competition into the open company ranks, taking on those Kentucky breds and more. But this one is dropping in class. She comes in off of a mid-pack effort in that Maryland Million Distaff, but that was against Better. And in that race, she kind of got shuffled back a little bit. She was back towards the tail of the field. She made a little bit of a run, but I think her finishing kick is going to look a whole lot stronger when she drops in to take on these fellow starter allowance foes and claimers like we talked about. And there's some pace inside her. I think Jose Ortiz with the outside draw will be able to angle over, stay in the clear, but not lose too much ground. So I'm on the Maryland bred at 5-1, number 11, Next Girl.
Veteran Mid-Atlantic trainer Robbie Bales able to net a jock like Jose Ortiz at his home track here during the meet. Significant rider assignment there, I think, in race number 7. To race number 10, we go next at Churchill Downs on Saturday. It's the Claiming Crown Jewel. This is a 35,000 level starter allowance, so horses had to race for 35,000 or less claiming in the past year plus. 1.1 miles the distance, so we're going to stretch him out here in the Claiming Crown Jewel. This is sort of the Breeders' Cup Classic, if you will, of the Claiming Crown series for the older males going along on the dirt. Another huge field, which is the significance throughout the entire program of big fields here of field sizes. You get a chance to run for some serious money, $200,000 the purse. I'd be remiss I didn't mention the purse money in here for the Claiming Crown. Again, these are horses usually running in 35,000 or less claimers, now able to run for a $200,000 purse. Big field in here. How do you sort it out?
Well, you made a good point about the fact that this is such a bigger deal for these horses. One thing I like to look for is another, I'm going to do my normal handicapping, but horses maybe that have been pointed for this race are the ones that I want to think about, because it is a unique race. You can think of it as, the biggest race of the year for these horses. And one of those horses, first off, this race is going to have a lot of speed, I think. You've got Gilded Kraken on the inside. You've got Burning Hot, as well as the 13-horse Point Dume to the outside. And all of them are likely to take money, particularly the last two I mentioned. I think it's going to be a fast pace. You got the, inside and outside. And I like Cadet Core in here, a horse that's trained by Kelly Breen, owned in part by Kelly Breen. And clearly to me, it looks like they know what they've had in this horse. He's he can finish at 1.1 miles. And we talk about the late pace ratings a lot with Brisnet. I think he's the best finisher in this field, and he's been able to do it at the 9 furlong distance. He draws along the inside. It looks like Kelly Breen has given him time off after a good spring and summer, pointed to this spot. And he should get a really good ride and trip under Junior Alvarado off the pace.
Cadet Coors coming off a third-place finish. It was back in September for that effort at Delaware Park behind Point Doom, who since has come back to win a stakes at Parks going to 2-turn miles. So Point Doom, Cadet Core, they know each other well. They were at Delaware back in September. Let's take a look at that one.
Last of all, so here they come after Point Doom, who has his back up against the ropes. Anadero's the first one to play its hand. Auto Guide is coming with a sweeping run on the far outside. 4 chances at the top of the stretch. And here comes Auto Glide in the middle of the track, battling on his Point Doom. At the white cap is Adero. Here's the real speed of Cadet Core. Still a few chances, 2 furlongs to go. It's Point Doom inside the final furlong, digging down deep for the fight. Adero took a run. So did Cadet Corps. Here's an unwavering winner at 11-1. Point Doom has won it. Adero's second, Cadet Corps third, and Auto Glide.
I'm looking for 3 wins in a row. Tim Kreiser, Penn National base trainer with that one. He's had some good ones over the years. We'll see if Point Doom can get him a big money win here coming off the stakes win at Parks in the rematch with Cadet Corps. Scott likes that one. Better draw here, going the 1 1/8 out of the 2-hole Cadet Corps under Junior Alvarado. That's the look at the Claiming Crown Jewel race number 10. Let's go to the 11th on the card Saturday at Churchill. If you like those plays in race number 10, maybe go back and double down with a daily double here from races 10 to 11. The Claiming Crown Tiara is next. These are bottom level claimers here in this particular spot. When you look at the claiming level of $8,000 is the minimum amount. So this is really kind of like your really everyday ham and eggers. You had to run for 8,000 or less over the past year plus. So we're going 1 1/16 on the turf here yet. So claimers on the turf at a lower level, Scott. This feels grab baggish. We've got a field of 12 in here. And as my buddy and our late great friend Jeff Siegel used to say, we got ourselves a grass grab bag.
Oh man, what the you said so, I lost my train of thought when you brought up Jeff. I had something funny to say. Maybe it'll come back again, but I like a horse in here quite a bit who I think is more. Oh, I know what it was. The word ham and egger. That reminds me of my grandfather and my father and my uncle talking about kind of like the average baseball player, you know. Yeah. Mario Mendoza, he's just a ham and egger.
Yeah, I'm showing my age.
Anyway, risk manager, the one to beat in here, coming in off the 3 wins, no doubt, a legitimate favorite, but Nantasket Beach ran really well over this course and against legitimate company, second level allowance foes back on May 25th. I don't know a lot about trainer Lauren Robson, but she doesn't have a lot of horses. She wins at a high level. She has a positive ROI, and she took this one to Saratoga, which is ambitious. Didn't have things his way. I think he ran better than the 7th place effort suggests. That was a day where you wanted to be inside on the turf course. This one was outside, and the winner was inside and on a loose lead in Big Everest. So I think Nantasket Beach, another one that has been freshened up, found a really good spot. You look down on the list, and he's not a claimer anymore. He's no ham and egger anymore, but he once was. And now he gets to take them on again for a solid purse here. So we'll go with number 4, Nantasket Beach in the ham and egger stakes.
I'm going to have to correct myself. This might be closer to steak and eggs than ham and eggs because the form listed as an 8,000 starter allowance in the title, but when I look through the conditions, it's 25,000 or less. So I don't know. We at least got like chicken fried steak and eggs or something like that. We can't go complete ham and eggers in here. They're not 8,000 minimum claimers, 25,000 the level to be eligible.
I'm just glad you said it, so it's okay. No offense to any horse or anyone. I'd love to own all of these quote unquote ham and eggers.
Absolutely. Nantasket Beach, Scott's top pick in here. And as he mentioned, a winner over the course back in the spring.
To the top of the stretch, the man up front trying to shoulder the load the entire trip. From between horses, Bring Me a Check outside Nantasket Beach. Barrage would like some racetrack to work with. Down the center and Braun for another run. 1/8 of a mile to go. Bring Me a Check and Nantasket Beach have overhauled the man up front. Nantasket Beach roused forward on the top end by Rajiv Mirage, and he has it won. Nantasket Beach to win it. Bring Me a Check second. Barrage third. The man up front is fourth. And Omni King.
Scott looking for that same call. Nantasket Beach on top in the Claiming Crown Tiara. Let's go to Gulfstream Park on Saturdays. We switch gears. We go to South Florida here. 81 degrees and sunny, the forecast for South Florida for the Juvenile Filly Sprint. Be the feature race on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. 6.5 furlongs for these 2-year-old fillies. Scott, we've got a field of 8. Top 2-year-old filly sprinter on the grounds, probably Lenny Liu. She was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies or Juvenile Turf Sprint. We've got kind of an open society here. I think there's a lot of different options that could go in this particular spot. I know one of the horses you want to talk about, we're going to show in highlight right now, that being Tessellate, coming off a 3rd in the Hallandale Beach Stakes.
They straighten for the drive. 3/4, 111 and 4. On their way home now on the Hallandale Beach, and from between horses, Vita Mia has taken the lead from Tessellate. She'll have to hold off Willow Case. Final 1/8 of a mile. Willow Case running hard at Vita Mia. Vita Mia just in front. Willow Case on the outside getting to her. Willow Case has hit the front. Willow Case wins the Hallandale Beach under Lionel Reyes. Vita Mia second, 5 ahead of Tessellate third. Dakota's Lil Aurora.
All right, Scott, make the case. Tessellate, easier field here, I believe.
I think my mic is muted there. I am sorry.
There we go. Come back now.
Sorry about that. I think I had a lot of good things to say. I hopefully say them again. Now, you look at that. You look at that last effort, and you might wonder why I liked her. She was toiling back in third, but she was caught in a battle that day, and I think it's going to go differently in here. I mean, they didn't go super fast, but it was contentious for her. But she's got a stablemate along the inside. She's got a stablemate towards the outside, and I think both are faster. I think Edgar Zaya's plan, cutting back in distance here a little bit, is going to try to sit the pocket and relax off the pace. And there's a lot of speed in here. I think that might be the winning move. I think that she'll also benefit from the cutback from 1 turn mile to the 6.5, or some of these are stretching out to 6.5, which can be a little bit difficult. So, and maybe a different type of horse wins races 6.5 or further. So I'll try number 2, Tessellate, here in a pretty tough race.
Yeah, Zayas also rode the stablemate last time, Mystical Bell, to victory. That was on the synthetic last out. Now going back to the main track for Mystical Bell. 1 of 3 in here for Saffie Joseph Jr., as you mentioned. Epigram to the outside, a dominant winner, almost a 10-length winner in the debut back in August. Put away perhaps for this spot by Jose Castro. High percentage outfit here the second half of the season at Gulfstream Park. Good looking bunch in the Juvenile Philly Sprint. Somebody's going to add some black type to their resume in that one at the end of 6.5 furlongs. Let's go to New York now for a pair of stakes on the turf Saturday at Aqueduct. Again, rain in the forecast for Saturday, but it's for 8 o'clock and beyond. So we probably should be fine getting these races on the turf on Saturday in New York. Jockey Club Oaks is race number 7 on the card. One of the newest stakes races on the NYRA circuit. This is a race that was just inaugurated and runs 5 times to date, 6 overall coming up with this edition this weekend. Chad Brown and Charlie Appleby have combined to win the last 4. You expect to see something from them in this race. Neither one involved, though, so they've kind of opened the invitations to somebody else. This race is 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. The Jockey Club Oaks, 11 furlongs. The distance could be key in here, obviously, Scott, stretching these 3-year-old fillies beyond what many of them have run so far.
Yeah, we try to find value in these types of races that we talk about, all of them, in fact. I think it's very difficult in here. I think this is a 2 filly race between Laura Lynn and Fionn, who both have had excellent years, excellent campaigns. One of them with 6 wins, $1.8 million total in their career already, Fionn, and one with only a defeat last time out by 1 horse, Lush Lips, and that's Laura Lynn. And I like Laura Lynn in this spot because not a lot of speed. We know that in New York turf races, generally, even when there is a lot of speed, we've got to be dubious of whether that it will show up. So I think it's going to be don't jinx it, the long shot-ish on the lead. And I think it's going to be Laura Lynn able to get a significant jump on Fionn in here. She might be a better horse already, you know, if you put them in a very fair race. I'm willing to take my chances with her getting the jump, even though I do think it's a positive move. Brad Cox taking the blinkers off for the first time on Fionn. That usually is a sign that things are even going better in the mornings, in my opinion, with some of these top outfits on their best horses.
I'm in agreement here. This is the Express Bet race of the week. I think Laura Lynn clearly the one to beat. Let's go back and see her in the Saratoga Oaks.
Past the quarter pole and come for home. An Opulent Restraint and Laura Lynn renewing their rivalry with 1 furlong to go. And Laura Lynn takes the lead. On the outside, Evershed is running a good race too. Coming to the 16th pole, Laura Lynn with a 2-length advantage on Opulent Restraint. And Laura Lynn, a perfect 5 for 5 as she wins easily in the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Oaks Invitational. Evershed and Opulent Restraint.
I think Evershed could come right back and be the exacta in here, though, because this is a horse. If you look at the pedigree, Evershed by Churchill out of a Darshan mare, you look at the Brisk average winning distance. I'm trying to figure out who's going to get the who's going to win the the race to 11 furlongs in here. You've got a 9.0 average winning distance on the top side, 10.6 on the dam side. So in terms of this long pedigree, I think Evershed's the exacta horse in here, and Fionn's deep closing style may not work in this particular spot, where there doesn't look to be a lot of early pace in there. So for me, I'm all in the exacta Laura Lynn over Evershed in here. That's really the way I'm going to lay into this race.
I mean, you don't see, you brought up the average win distance on the sire and dam stats on the Briz. You don't see that even 9 is pushing it. Usually European pedigrees. 10.6 is about as stamina driven as you will get. So certainly should benefit.
Let's go to race number 9 on Saturday at Aqueduct. This is the Knickerbocker Stakes. Named for the Dutch settlers who wore the short pants, and the Knicks, of course, ended up becoming the Knickerbockers to the Knicks as well. But the Knickerbocker Stakes has been run since 1960. It was a graded stakes beginning with the beginning of the graded stakes system back in 1973, all the way to last year, now downgraded for the first time as a listed stakes. They've got a field of, 8 in here for the Knickerbocker, going 1 1/8 miles on the turf. Trickery's a horse who last year looked like he was going to be a big player in the elder turf division. He was one of the better 3-year-old grass horses in America last year, but things just haven't quite developed for him so far this year. Trickery last year won the Secretariat. He's going to try to get back to that form against a field that he should match up okay against.
General Ledger brings him to the top of the stretch. It's General Ledger. Ortiz just took a look over his shoulder. General Ledger still there. Now here comes Trickery on the outside with a quick move. Brilliant Birdie right down the center. The favorites 1-2 now with a furlong left to go. Trickery got first jump on Brilliant Birdie. 16th a mile left. Trickery in front by 2.5. Brilliant Birdie is second. Trickery, big, powerful turn of foot to win the Secretariat. John Velasquez and Trickery 2.5. Brilliant Birdie was second, into Jam third. Photo fourth. General Ledger or Mattingly.
A big day for Grand Motion if Laura Lynn delivers in the Jockey Club Oaks and Trickery gets back to that form. Do you see a flashback for Trickery, Scott, or are you going somewhere else?
I don't like flashbacks, so I'm going to pass on that. Now, it just seems like he was a horse that was better last year. Maybe he's not worse or slower, but it doesn't seem like he's gotten faster, and you're supposed to get better as you get older. So normally horses that I side against if they're going to take any sort of money. I think, again, it looks like more of a 2-horse race between Ohana Honor, who's the favorite on the morning line, and Air Recruit. I'm going to try to get the jump with Air Recruit in here, who should be a little bit of a better price, coming off a well-beaten effort against a better field at Kentucky Downs. Don't want to, really judge him, assess that race too much. It was a race dominated on the front end. Kentucky Downs can be quirky. He's got to answer the 1 1/8 mile question, but I think he's been handled correctly by Arna de la Cour, it appears. The source was 7th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf back in November of 2023, and then was given almost 2 years off. 3 races since, and 2 of them have been good. I think he's set for a good effort here in the right spot.
We talked about Motion bringing horses up for both these stakes. Delacour doing the same, of course. He's the trainer of Evershed, the one that we think could be part of the exacta in the Jockey Club Oaks. As for the Knickerbocker, Scott's going on top with Air Recruit for Arnaud Delacour in race number 9. We wrap things up by going to Woodbine next up for race number 10 on Saturday. It's our 8th and final stakes of the podcast. It's the Kennedy Road Stakes, grade 2, $175,000, 6-furlong stakes race. Kennedy Road was the 1973 Horse of the Year in Canada. That year, 1973 in Canada, of course, was all about Secretariat coming up there to win the Canadian International in his final career start. But Kennedy Road was a champion 2-year-old in 71, champion 3-year-old in 72, and in 73 he was sent to Southern California with Charlie Whittingham and won the Hollywood Gold Cup. Went back to Canada to finish out the season. Ran in the Canadian International, set the pace that day, faded to finish 9th against Secretariat. I don't know if there was some kind of provision on how you voted for Horse of the Year back in 73 in Canada, but he got the honor over Secretariat, even though Secretariat drummed him in the Canadian International Stakes. But one of the all-time greats, Kennedy Road, the stakes race named in his honor. Let's talk about handicapping this one. Scott, what do you make of this?
Well, I think No Balls, who I know we're going to take a look at, via replay after I talk about why I don't like him, is going to take a lot of money, and deservingly so. But he raced in this race last year, right, and won it, and then he was on the sidelines for a little bit. But that was his last big effort, in my opinion, when he was the No Balls that I think we know him as. And maybe he'll come back to his best, but he's been a little bit step slow. He's been scratched out of a bunch of spots. He's earned some money. Just feels like the kind of shot I want to take against a horse. And I think Lucky Scored, is going to take a lot of money as well. Got a big setup, though, last time when winning that race, that allowance. A horse that was in there that was coming off a long layoff and was a big price and is going to be a big price again is number 3, Reloads Rascal. This horse put away 2 other speeds, but was a part of a 3-horse duel off that long layoff. Last out in the race, Lucky Score 1. He's 5 for 10 in his career. Maybe I'm up against it here because I think his past form puts him in the mix, and he's going to be totally forgotten based on, the past performances. Maybe he's going to be outclassed, but I'm going to take a little swing here on my trek north to Canada.
All right, go with Reloads Rascal. 15-1 in the morning line. Might even go up on that price. 17-1 in that allowance race last time when things didn't go right trip-wise. We'll see what kind of trip he gets in the 6-furlong Kennedy Road. Defending champ in this race, No Balls, trying to become the 3rd back-to-back winner of the Kennedy Road.
As they corner in the Kennedy Road, and Noble's the outside. Patches O'Houlihan attack left and right. Patches O'Houlihan headed off by Nobles on the outside, and they are sticking on a bit. Patches is not done with, is fighting right back. Nobles and Patches O'Houlihan stride to stride, but Nobles still a neck in front. Patches O'Houlihan try to come back. Nobles back to his best, wins the Kennedy Road Stakes from Patches O'Houlihan by 3 parts of a length.
I wanted to,
Go ahead.
Sometimes running that hard. I mean, Patches O'Houlihan, may rest in peace. They ran hard that race. And sometimes horses don't return. That's kind of the assessment I have here with No Balls, just to piggyback the discussion after the replay.
Yeah, no doubt the 25 season has not gone to plan for him. Like you said, scratched out a bunch of different spots trying to get him back. If he was at his best, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, they pre-entered in that spot. We're on the also eligible list. Didn't end up going. Interesting that he's back here for the Kennedy Road. We'll see how he does for trainer Larry Ravelli. That's going to wrap up our 8 stakes races. The handicap, again, we want to remind you, we've got some tournament play today at Del Mar if you like to play the tournament scene at expressbet.com. So check that out. And this weekend, no live racing Saturday at Del Mar. We will have a great promo for you on the 20% win boost on the Churchill Downs card Saturday. When you bet with First Bet and Express Bet, you'll get up to $20 back in extra bonus money on that 20% win boost on all of your win bets. So good luck to those playing there. Scott, I'll give you the final word for the weekend.
Yeah, I've got a blog up on that, and I've got a blog up on the late pick 4 at Aqueduct, so that'll feature some a little more detailed thoughts on some of the things we discussed and some of the ways to connect maybe horizontally. But yeah, it's a good weekend for the connections, not the big names that we saw Breeders' Cup weekend, but the Claiming Crown, a chance for some of the smaller barns, more middle-sized barns to have their say, and some of those horses to maybe win the biggest race of their career. So look forward to that in Louisville, and both of us, I'm sure, are looking forward to a lot of pigskin as well.
That's right. Go Sooners, beat Bama. We'll leave it on that note. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.